What steps can you take to ensure your fundraising event is successful? I'm Chad Barger, and that's what we're talking about in this week's Productive Fundraising Weekly Journey. So I might look a little different this week. I am in the Boy Scout uniform. I got a big Cub Scout event with my boys tonight, so I'm geared up, ready to go. They get home from school pretty soon. We're gonna head out. I'm talking about special events this week, so I figured, let's just go for it. So I'm out in nature, a little incognito here, so a little bit of variety for you. Anyway, this week we are talking about special events, and I'm going to share 3 keys to ensure that your special event is successful. The first one is that word, event. Notice that it was not plural. I did not say make your special events successful. I said make your special event successful. We need to limit those events. You know, 1 or 2 key special events a year where you put, really go big with those, really able to focus and make them beneficial. That's the key. Just having the time to do that. I like to say no more than 2 events a year. Events on average take about 4 months to prepare, where they're kind of all encompassing, 3 months before, 1 month after. So any more than 2 and you're in perpetual event mode all year long. We don't want to do that. We need to do other things like steward our donors, work on major gifts, go on donor visits, all those things that take time that events don't allow us to do. So that was number 1, event, not events. Limit the number. Number 2, start early. You need to start prepping for that event about 6 months out. That's when we need to do things like lock event, lock venue, because once we have that information, then we can start talking to sponsors, and sponsors need lead time. It typically takes, oftentimes 2 to 3 months just for a sponsor to get a decision until it goes through the committee process. Everybody chimes in as it goes along. So, it's going to take that long. Then you're 3 months out. Then it's really time to do logistics and invitations and all of that. So you need to start 6 months out for each event. Another reason, only have 2, because then, 6 months on each, there goes the whole year. So finally, when we have that event, not events, and we're starting 6 months out, that allows us to focus on sponsors, not attendees. That's where you make your money. You make your money on event sponsors, not attendees. It is so much easier to make revenue on $300 or $3,000 sponsors rather than $30 attendees. I almost said $30,000, but I haven't gotten a $30,000 sponsor ever, and I practice what I preach. So we're going to go with $300 or $3,000. But yeah, that adds up so much faster than those $30 tickets. And you typically spend so much energy on social media, on invitations, asking board members to get those $30 attendees, when we need to focus on the $300 or $3,000 sponsors. If we're worried about attendance, what if I don't get enough people? What if it doesn't look like there's critical mass in the room? It's very easy to offer extra free tickets to sponsors to fill that room up. That's an easy problem, and we can make far more revenue that way than we can selling the $30 ticket. So, how do you know if an event is successful? You got to crunch the numbers. And that's this week's free resource. It's our Solicitation Performance Index. Simple grid. You put your events, you put your direct mail, you put everything all in one spreadsheet, crunch the numbers, see what works best and where you should be spending your time. Head on over to the link. That's this week's free resource. We have it as both a PDF and a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet where you can download it and it'll do all the math for you. It's not crazy complicated math, but it still saves you some time. So get that one. I like that one better. This week's instantly actionable quick tip. Go to your calendar, go 6 months out from your next special events, and put a reminder that says 6 months to event. That's your cue to start working on it, to start getting that sponsor package together, just to get the bare minimum so that you can go start talking to sponsors about it. Hopefully you're talking to your sponsors once a year and you got that package anyway, but 6 months out will give you that clear start and set you up for success. That's it for this week. Thanks for the work you do. We'll see you next week for the Productive Fundraising Weekly Journey. Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of the Productive Fundraising Weekly Journey. You can download the free resources mentioned in this episode at productivefundraising.com/fundraising-resources. That's productivefundraising.com/fundraising-resources. Head on over and give to this week's content a download and check out the other great resources we have there for you. Also, be sure to join the Productive Fundraising exclusive Facebook group, the Fundraising Fish Fry. We're proud to sponsor this group where fundraisers come together to talk about what's working and what isn't in fundraising, because there are so many fundraising fish to fry. Ha ha ha. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Happy fundraising.